All right. We're live on Facebook, looks like we're live on Facebook, live on YouTube. Okay. We're going to play a little longer intro since it's the first show of the week. And we got the honor of Judith Kusel coming in. We're going to give people time to come in. So I'm going to play a 3.5 minute long Soul Speaks as an intro today so we can kind of get off on the right foot and allow people a little bit more time to come in. All right. See you in about 3.5 minutes with Judith Kusel. Resurrection is not limited to icons, but unlimited to the life of our souls. We have all walked the dark nights when we thought we were in the right, and we have all walked in the light when we thought there was none. Oneness is underestimated because it covers far more than peace, love, happiness, and the trappings of dogmas. Oneness is to understand that all of the dark nights hold the same face and that everyone's pain is equivalent when weighed against their singular life experience. Oneness is releasing every possession which really had been possessing us all along. The old family gripes so easy to blame on another, the religions and icons forced on ancestors at the price of land and freedoms forsaken. Cruelty belied of the dark demagoguery of foolish human pride. The chains and the stains, the shames and the blames, that even if we're true, serve no purpose but to hide us from ourselves and each other. Divinity is always becoming, always on time, leading to the first and last, the end that begins. I am soul. Okay, let's roll. Sorry, I had to use a longer intro today. I needed every moment to get everything ready on this end because everything's reacting really slow. Electronics have been doing some crazy stuff the last few days. Every time we have Judith Kuzel on, there's always some kind of amazing thing going on. I don't know if it's just with me personally or in the collective, but to me, it feels like both. The first time she came on, I actually cried for the entire episode, and it was an incredible experience at a very important part of my time in my life. And so she's very special, and she's been out there doing the work for a long, long time. You can catch her on YouTube, on her own website. We'll talk to her about it in a second. And also see what's been going on, because she's been putting out some really powerful stuff the last 2-3 months. I've been following her. All right, let's get her up here. Let's see. She should be converting over. Here she comes. Here she comes. Let's see. There she is. How you doing, sweetheart? How you doing?
Hello, it's a big hug to you.
Big hug to you. Oh my God, I'm getting ready because I know something's going to happen with you coming on. I noticed it's good to see you. really is good to see you. And I noticed, I got to tell you a couple of quick stories because it's kind of funny, because I hold you in a certain regard, and I don't know what it is. It's got to be something from our other existences or history. So the first thing is, I just want to say that over the last, I don't know, I'd say probably 2 months, you've been putting out some fire. Like, I mean, you've always written great stuff, but like there's something's changed in you, something's altered in you, like almost like a warrior mentality. And maybe it's because I know you well, and it's kind of between, beneath the words or between the lines, but you look very serious. And then I got to tell you a funny story too, because as far as your essence, to me, it's kind of like a Mother Mary, right? Or Glinda, the Good Witch of the North. So, and that's an extreme compliment, because Mother Mary's always been a very powerful consciousness, even since I was a little kid. And we have a lot of interesting conversations because I can, be a little bit warrior-like sometimes. But anyway, so I don't do too many videos anymore. I don't do too many spirit walks. And I usually, when I do them, I'm very possessed to do it. I'm very moved to do it. And so I did one a couple of months ago, and it was, I was pretty, fired up. And that for some reason, you know how it is, you go on Facebook and whatever you need pops up in front of you, and you had shared it. You had shared the video. I thought, oh, wow, that's cool. Judith shared it. And then I went back and counted how many F-bombs I had in it. And I thought, oh my God, I'm probably going to burn for this. I'm just playing, but it's good to see you. And you have been fired up. I'm really excited to find out what you feel is going on, because something has really changed. I want to say since the 1st of June, but I just as easily, I could say in the last week. I mean, what's going on? Do you have any clue?
Yes. We are in a major transfiguration. That's the best word I can get for it. We are being transfigured into something completely different. And we are literally at the moment in the proverbial eye of a needle. The eye of a needle is not a real needle. It's something that you find in the New Testament that Jesus was talking about. And they said that it's not easy for a camel to get into the eye of a needle or go through the eye of a needle. What it meant is really there was a little door where human beings could get into the walls before you got into the old city. But a camel had to really sort of humble itself, sort of like go really down on its knees and then sort of like squeeze through the little hole in order to get to the other side. And we are in that hole now. We need to squeeze through that hole because from the 5th of July, the old 3D actually does not exist anymore, except in the holographic form. And this has been told to me time and time again by the divine source and by the cosmic councils. So in other words, that existence that we had in the 3D does not exist anymore. We literally have now stepped into the new dimensional state where we act as co-creators. So with every breath we take, with every thought we think, with every emotion we feel, we are now busy co-creating a new world. And it is not a world that's formed yet. We literally have to go into the state of nothingness, no form, in order to now create and be formed. I literally had to, in the last few months, really sort of like had to shed everything of myself that I still thought was myself. In other words, it literally, whatever I still thought was myself had to get wayside. And I had to totally become anchored in the divine source completely, knowing that you are the divine source. You embody that. And within your I am, you are already that divine self, that divine source. Apart from that, and we remember we had the lockdown, and the lockdown actually has awoken humanity in a deeper sense. Mm-hmm. It literally like shook them awake. So they now had to go introspective which a lot of people didn't do. So it's scary for a lot of souls to do that. But it's the only way that you can grow, because all answers are within you. They are not outside of you. They are not in what is projected outside you in whatever way that the media gives you or whatever is going around you. It is what is within you and your divine connection, your soul connection, that is what's going to carry you through these massive changes. And with that, I had to cancel my trip to the USA. I was actually called to the USA to do immense energy work and also to do my seminars there. But it also has taught me that in this whole shift, you don't need to be physically present anywhere.
True. Yeah, that's true.
So I've been called to do the work, and I'm doing it remotely now. So there's immense changes coming in, because whatever has lain dormant for so many millions of years is now rising to the fore, because we are stepping into the 7th dimension now. It's not even the 5th now. The 7th to 9th dimensions have opened up for the souls that are ready to walk that path of mastery. To me, it's the most, this time has never ever been before of humankind. Not ever. Not even since the beginning. And if we can understand the immense gift of this time, the immense love that is opening up here, the immense light that is being beamed in, we will welcome this time, and we will welcome every bit that we need to leave behind now. Because everything that you leave behind is immediately filled up with something that's vaster than anything I can even put into words. So
Wow.
It is an amazing transition that
you are fired up. You're getting me fired up. Well, and your take on this, it falls in line, with several other people that are kind of swimming in the ethers where you do. Franco Di Nicola has been talking about this since last year. I just read some Jason Estes. I don't see his stuff too much because I'm not on too much, but he was basically saying it's here, it's, and he explains it in his own language. I know a few other people that have talked about it. And I woke up on June the 1st going, there's something different, like as in it is a new reality. Like, and I was just getting something a while ago, probably because you were coming into my presence. And that was something along the lines of that, the worry, the stress, the pressure, it no longer is being supported. So I think it's what you said a minute ago about the hologram. The only way it exists is in this hologram, which is being projected from ourselves now, because there's nothing projecting it to hold it up. And and that's what it feels like. Morgan got a download a few days ago, and I love it because it was very simple. It was a simple, profound truth. And it was basically, you can either be in creation or distraction. And distraction being a very broad, you know what I mean? Being a very broad term, because it could be so many things, because there were so many different multiple aspects of the hologram that we were putting out there, which was being supported, but it's no longer being supported. And so it's weird because you just keep creating. And I wish I could put that into words sooner. Until I heard it from her, it was like, oh, that's what I was trying to say. And that's what I've been trying to say, is like, it's not that we don't have to visit the shadows and we don't have inner work, because we know those are gifts now, but it's like, you can really apply yourself to the creativity on an intuitive, spontaneous level, and just magical things happen, and it just kind of blasts everything with light. And I like that method a lot better than the other ones.
Yeah, because the thing is, in the 3D, humanity, right, created its own reality.
Yeah.
We literally created that reality. We were like stuck in almost like a prison, like a mentality. It was like everything was controlled in a certain manner. Now, is to remember that you as a soul, you agree to that. You don't come to this planet without agreeing to that. Yeah. At some level, you did agree to actually take part in that experiment of that 3D. Yeah. But now we are transitioning that. We actually have now left that behind.
Yeah.
And the beauty is now that we can create with love, and we can create with unity, and we create with oneness. But that unity and oneness first has to come within us. We cannot create unity outside of us if it's not inside of us. You can't create peace if you're not at peace within yourself.
No.
It just doesn't work that way. And so it's literally that you start creating from a much higher dimensional state.
Yeah.
The old things, the old methods, the old projections just don't work in that state.
No, they don't. They don't make any sense, and they make you feel really weird. You know, there's a lot of people asking questions. I don't usually pick up questions, but I've seen some pretty good ones. I'm just going to try to sum some of them up. But what's interesting too is that these revelations and epiphanies and understandings are coming to the surface, and I think for people like you, it's at a conscious level that you can state it. I think for a lot of people, it's at an unconscious level. It's a feeling, because that's part of what I see this change being. It's like nonverbal. You just feel your way through it. But what's interesting is we're starting to see, at least apparently, not that some of these global issues, these things that were hidden beneath the surface, much like the secrets and lies that we hid in our own lives, in our own families, they're all kind of simmering at the top, seemingly coming to the surface. And it's a real interesting, intriguing, and curious thing to watch, even in the lightworker community, as these things come up to be released, and you see the charges they have upon people, including myself, as they need to be spoken or revealed and played out. But it's interesting to see the acceleration and expansion of those things alongside with the things you're talking about. It keeps us on our toes, I guess. What I try to stay in is, where I try to keep myself, and it's a working process every day, is how can I remain in no charge, in compassion, for every victim, for every victimizer, and an equal, infinite amount of compassion and love and understanding for all those things that I really don't know. But I don't know if you could speak to that. Do you think we'll continue to see these things come out? Do you think we'll continue to see polarizing projections from folks? And is it just part of the process that has to occur?
But the thing is, you've first got to overcome duality within yourself. In truth, duality does not exist. There is no black-white, type of thing, like a yin-yang in truth. In truth, they're one and the same. And it is, I live in a country, for instance, where the crime rate is the highest in the world. It's one of the ones where the crime rate is the highest in the world. I have learned a long time ago that if you go and engage in that, you are going to get down, because it's going to pull you down. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. But all these years, I have tried to keep above it and not get engaged in it. Because to me, there were as much good people around, or people who are loving and kind and carrying humankind through, as much as there are the others that might not do that. But if you actually look at it, they always balance each other out. There's always a balance point somewhere along the line. And if you only choose to see one side, you are ignoring the other side. They both exist simultaneously. And we got to now transcend that duality in a greater degree. In truth, if you look up in the night sky, there's a dark background, and we couldn't see the stars if it wasn't for the dark background. Most people try to sort of project their own insecurities and their own dualities onto the world. And that's what's happening at the moment. It's literally churning everything up so that we can see a reflection of ourselves. Everything is a mirror about within ourselves that we have not owned and loved and transcended. And a lot of people, they get, if you start projecting that outside yourself, you are not seeing that this person or whatever it is projecting that to you like a mirror, and is trying to teach you something very valuable about unconditional love.
Yeah. It seems like there's a lot of humble pie being served right now.
That's true. It is. Because, it doesn't matter who you really are, you will always have a shadow side within you somewhere along the line until you start actually embracing that shadow and you start loving yourself just the way you are. And interesting enough, the minute that you start loving yourself just the way you are and don't pretend that you are something you are not, you strip naked. I've come to the stage in the last a few weeks where I literally felt so vulnerable, like I was like shattering into pieces.
Well, that's good to hear.
And that is exactly the moment that you can be put back together again.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Not yeah. Not when you think you're still in charge.
Yeah. There's
doesn't happen.
I'm even wondering, and like over the last 3 days, I've been getting such just such an acceleration of downloads. I don't even know what's happening. And it's kind of like a microcosm of the whole thing. Like you just get like, I woke up this morning, I thought, how am I going to do this? And I always managed to, but today was different. I was just like, and Morgan even got up like, this morning, and she told me I got to go lay down. I'm like, I understand. I can't explain what's happening, but it feels like a purge to me. It feels like this morning feels like more of a purge, and it's a very non-physical purge, but it sure feels as intense as the physical purges. I can't explain it. And all this information coming in last night, there was, when I laid down last night, we didn't say anything last night when we laid down. We were very tired. And I just kept getting, I'll just be plain about it. Reptilians, lizards, hybrid reptilians, different types of humanoid hybrid species. And we were just all kind of like looking each other in the eye, and I don't know, it felt like it didn't feel like completion, but it felt like we were headed towards, I guess I would just describe it as alignment or unity, or the veils coming off, and everybody, like you were saying earlier, everybody played the role either before in one of their incarnations or in this incarnation, or however you want to put it. Like everything is going away. All the illusion is going away. It was very interesting.
Because, the fires of purification are here. We are literally being put for the fires of purification now. And the thing is, all this is getting dissolved. So in other words, those roles have been played. Now they can move on,
Mm-hmm.
and they are moving on. Because this planet is going through a total revamp. It's going through a total rebirth. It's already gone through a birth, you understand?
Mm.
But now we already moved into the new golden age.
Yes.
We're already there.
Yes.
It's not a question of it's happening sometimes in the future. It's here and now. But the thing is, if you are like obsessed with these people,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you are going to get right pulled into that again, because you're not seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah.
You're not learning to fly over it instead of getting yourself interested. I said somebody, we will literally get to the end at the void, okay, where we literally have to jump into the void and take those leaps of faith.
Yeah.
In order to be revamped and reinvented, because we get in territory that has never been created before.
Yeah,
so
that feels right.
It's like you are and you are now getting onto a spaceship, and you're going into a wormhole galaxy, and you don't know what's waiting for you. So you're going right into this wormhole now. But this wormhole is actually a new potential. It's a new life. It's a new way of life where there is no duality anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We speak the same. Yeah.
So what these figures are that at one stage came and took over the planet, They came from other planets to take over the planet. Their time is up. They know it.
Yeah.
The time is up. And there is no use getting yourself into tizzes about it. I'm talking now generally.
Yeah.
Because there is a huge master plan that is involved here, which is greater than the sum total of ourselves. Yeah. We as humanity are just a tiny little players in a huge playing field that we're not, we're standing in the presence of omnipresence now.
Mm. Wow.
Omnipresence is beyond our brains. Our little human brains cannot go that way. But your heart and soul, it experience omnipresence. Your life is never the same again. Because then you start becoming at one with your universal existence, with your cosmic galactic existence, and understand that your soul is much greater than anything you've ever thought. You know, when I do soul readings, people come back to me and they said, but I've always known this about myself, but I never believed it. Yeah. It's because they suddenly see their galactic souls and the immensity of who they are. There are so many master souls that are walking the earth right now. Yeah. They are universal masters. Some of them are here, 9th, 12th dimensional masters that are walking in physical embodiment and are literally pulling humanity through this time.
Yeah, that's amazing. That resonates. And I wonder if they even know it. I bet most of them don't know it. Probably not.
Unless they awaken to the fact of who they in truth are.
Yeah.
If they awaken to their source self and understand that the source is within them and they are bringing this out.
Yeah. And I love what you said too about this void, because for 9 years, that's the way I've always referred to it as the holy darkness. And then as I've evolved in this relationship with Morgan and begun to open up the feminine code in me and so on, or however you put it, to see that I totally agree with you. This has never happened before. And you have to go into this abyss, the womb of the mother, the holy darkness. That's actually the seed of creation, as I see it. It's actually where you create new universes and new lives and new life forms and new planets and new realities. And I love what you said, because really what you said about the shattering, like, being so vulnerable, you shatter. And so it's really like every moment we're faced with this decision to jump into the void. And that's where I go back to the more I know, the less I know. I don't know anything. You think you know something, and then something pops in today when I was trying to get balanced and just trying to get ready. I saw this crazy vision, which it's happened twice before you've come on too. And but it was a gold earth. It was solid gold, and then around it was, I don't know how to explain it, but around it was the heavens, basically. Like, it wasn't what you would think of, like, the heavens are up there. We were actually, in this vision, the center, and around it was all of these dimensions and timelines and heavens and cosmos and ethers or whatever. And I was just looking at it going, I don't even see stuff like this normally, but I know that it meant something, and the gold.
It's like your solar plexus. The earth is the solar plexus of the universe. It's like where everything comes together in a great way. And at the moment, we're literally held by the whole cosmos because they're all gathered here. It's like the whole cosmos is gathered around us. So We're literally held in this huge bubble. We are held in the bubble, and we are being pushed into that higher dimensional state now. And you must remember that you always have a choice, if you actually get pushed into the void, to go and find your wings. Yes. And learn to fly.
Yes. like the mother kicking the bird out of the nest.
Exactly.
So,
You-
we've had some really interesting conversations here over the last 2 or 3 weeks with people, with a lot of people that have never even been on video, and it's so interesting to see how everybody's kind of coming together, and then if you look at onto social media, even in the light worker circles, like we were talking about earlier, to go back to what you're saying, if you look for it, you're going to find it. And then you look at the situation in like in several places, but I mean, like if you look at a situation like over in Victoria, over down in Australia, where it looks to be all rights and freedoms on the surface are being taken away. And I have to look at those things and go, that's probably not what it looks like. I mean, so I guess where I'm going with this is, what's your take on a situation like that? And for people that are in that space, geographically, what would your advice be to them? How do they stay out of it if it's seemingly being forced upon them? You know what I mean?
But the thing is, everybody has got free will and choice. You've got your choice how to react on it. We lived through the apartheid years in South Africa. I mean, I grew up in a police state. You understand? It's fine. Yeah. You grow up, and now that I look back on it, I can say thank you, because it taught me a lot. And what also taught me was that in those, you have two choices. It's not to say you're not, you can't speak your truth. Of course, you speak your truth, because you always have to speak your truth as it is in your soul. You've got to be authentic. You've got to be real. But the thing is, all paths lead within you. And all the ancient texts tell you that, know thyself. Within is without. Whatever is without is within. Yeah. If your inner world is so deeply connected, then it will not matter what the outside world is seemingly doing or not doing. It will not affect you. Yeah. Somebody told me a few weeks ago, and it got me thinking. She said, if you're really so steeped in your mastery and in that state where you are totally at one with source, you would be able to step through security systems and they will not even detect you. And that really sort of put me thinking, and I thought to myself, wow, we are stepping into that type of mastery.
Yeah.
Where we literally can be so masters of our life that we literally live in a higher dimensional state. And if we live in that higher dimensional state, the 3D cannot detect us anymore.
I agree.
We become invisible to them because you are in a much higher frequency band. This might sound like science fiction, but it's actually right here and right now already.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And of course, we've talked to enough people that have had experiences that would validate that. I remember there's a great movie from the late 60s called Little Big Man with Dustin Hoffman and Chief Dan George. And it's based on a true story. And at the battle of, the cavalry came in and was destroying the Indian village. And Chief Dan George told Dustin Hoffman, let's get out of here. And he said, well, we can't get out of here because they're killing everybody. He said, no, we're invisible. And so they walk out of the village during the middle of all this chaos, and he's got a big smile on his face, and he keeps saying, we're invisible. They can't see us. And that's what you're talking about. And I think that's happening it's kind of phasing in, because I've talked to people that have had experiences like that. People that have been in a room, they cloak themselves, they move out, nobody sees them. Or people walk into a room and they can't see them. I think it's happening. I think it's starting to bleed into our existence.
It is already here. And that is the beauty of this. I always say, open your heart and understand that this is a new form of life, a new form of existence. Yeah. Don't get distracted by the outside world. It doesn't matter what roles they play. It doesn't matter what's happening there. Go inside, because it's here inside yourself that the answers lie, not on the outside world.
Wow.
The beauty of us is that we can step into our co-creatorship with great love. Look, it's not easy. I mean, I get challenged too. You sometimes just get challenged because the 3D world hits you sometimes in the face. You can't run away from it. But what I do is the minute that happens, that my equilibrium is disturbed, I will go and quietly sit down and do deep breathing work and get my mind stilled, and then go up and get myself totally centered again, so that I calm down, I'm centered. And then when you're centered, you will immediately start looking differently. You will see differently. You will react differently. You will get that stillness point. Remember that if a hurricane there's always an eye in the middle of a hurricane, and that's a still point. Be that still point in the middle of a hurricane. And the thing is, you don't need to blame or shame or criticize anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we're really being put to the test because every extreme example of injustice or just horrific acts or whatever is being put before us until we can't use it as an excuse anymore. I mean, we were talking about earlier, distraction's distraction. Doesn't matter what it is. And I love what you said too about growing up in apartheid, because I remember reading a lot about it in that period of time. I was a young adult and really being moved and drawn to it, but the stories and everything. And what you're basically saying is, regardless of what's happening externally, inside of you, where everything happens at an energetic level, you can choose sovereignty at all times, right? I mean, you will not lose freedom. Even if you were incarcerated, you can still maintain your freedom. And Nelson Mandela wrote about that with his garden.
Exactly.
And I've seen other people that have been incarcerated write about that. So yeah, that's great advice.
Nelson Mandela, for instance, I mean, he spent all those years in prison.
Yes.
When he was released, South Africa was on the brim of civil war.
Yeah.
We were on the brim of civil war because one man refused to buy into all of that.
Yeah.
He knit the nation together. And I tell you what, the nation loved Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
Because he refused to go into hatred and he refused to go into blame. It's not to say that everything didn't come up what needed to come up.
Yeah.
But there's a deep forgiveness that needs to also come to the fore, where you understand that everybody plays out a role. And often people are projected in roles that not really reflect their souls. It's like the earth is like a big theater in the 3D, An actor takes on the role of a villain, but that's not that actor, that's not the soul.
Right.
The minute he steps off the stage, he's himself again. I had that experience, I always used to write puppet plays for the children, holiday programs.
Yeah.
And we had these Christmas plays and one of them was now played the villain, the one that steals all the Christmas presents from.
Oh, the Grinch.
So nobody gets Christmas presents. And it was so funny because I worked with all these youngsters, I've been finding it, the teenagers. And this guy that played this villain, I mean, he was now good, but he was such a gentle, kind soul,
Yeah.
And it was so funny because when the final curtain came down and the puppet, the hand puppet was still out of sight. The children literally came and grabbed the hand, they wanted to beat this villain up, whatever. And that to me was just what happened to humankind, is that we love those, that's why in ancient times they always had like something that they could project all their sins and whatever on. But we don't need that anymore. We don't need that.
Yeah. Yes. And after all for as long as you've been plugged in, okay, and writing about stuff, which has been quite a while, compared to most people. And of course, then the level, you know, the substance of what you've been putting out there. So we know you've been connecting for a long time. Are you a little bit surprised about how quick this is moving and how quick the limitlessness of the potential that potentially can be released and how quick it could be exhibited by, you know, brothers and sisters? I mean, do you feel like it's moving fast? I feel like it's moving really, really fast.
It's accelerating. It's accelerating. You know, I was just told this morning by my higher guides that it's accelerating, and the next few months it will be accelerating at an enormous speed. You know, what people don't realize is that we are literally now moving into a time of timelessness where time doesn't exist. The old structures will just not exist anymore.
Yeah.
You know, the old monetary structures, the old society structures, all that will just disintegrate, and it will disintegrate at a very, very fast level. It's almost like, you know, all of this is being churned up, you know, like a washing machine churns up all the dirt so that everything gets fine. That is what's happening now. All this dirt is coming out, and it's like it's washing us clean. It's freeing it. But with that spinning motion, our bit is spun into a higher dimensional state.
Yeah.
So you must remember, it's gaining momentum, so it's going faster and faster and faster. And we cannot afford to start lagging behind. But it's all in the heart. You know, you can't, everybody will experience it in different levels. And don't go and now say it has to be this, and there's no force.
No.
Force is gone.
It is.
The time of force is gone.
By the way, we just hit 300 people on all platforms when she said that. So there has to be some significance to that. Force is gone. And it's true, though. And it's, I was talking to a friend this morning who's very much a doer her whole life. And she actually hit me up because Morgan, her and I are going to Sedona the second half of September. So we'll hold space if you want to, if you need any help over there as you work through the ethers, let me know. But so I said, well, I said, wow, what's going on this morning? It's kind of weird. And she says, I don't know. I can't do anything. Like I can't, like I plan to do this and plan to do that and plan to do this. And I'm standing here going, I can't do that. Like something won't let me do that. And I said, I'm the same way. I'm kind of wondering, how are we going to schedule shows? Because it just doesn't seem like, you know, I had this thing last night and I thought, well, what's going to happen? I'm going to wake up and then in the ethers or something, so-and-so is going to say, hey, let's do a show right now. and you're not really going to have a schedule. You're just going to like get like a dream, you know, like in a dream state. So,
but yeah, I'm laughing because that's exactly what's happening to me. And from the last few weeks, they told me, you're not going to schedule. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. Leave it. That's gone.
Yeah.
And so I'm also like in a state of thinking, well, you know, how on earth am I going to do that? You know, it's fine. But I'm learning now that we've got to be present in this moment, you know, present. Yeah. And every time, you know, if I try to do something, I'm getting told, no, that's not the way you do it anymore. And what I'm learning now is trusting. Say, okay, I've got to now learn a new way of life. I'm in a learning curve here. I've got to follow my guidance. If my guidance tells me this is not the way to do it anymore, then I've got to start being open for a new life and a new beginning.
Yeah, that says a lot. Like I know in our journey, Morgan and I, as we've kind of, you know, evolved through our understanding or the tutelage we're receiving from the universe and sacred sexuality, you know, there would be times, and this is an analogy that the reason I'm bringing it up, because we would say like, what about this? And what about that? You know, like, and they kept saying, forget about it. And we'd say, well, what about it? Like, you know, and they'd say, and they would laugh because they'd say, you have no idea, because what's on the other side of it is so much greater. You know, there's so much more to it. You can't even comprehend it. I was going to ask you this too, from an energetic standpoint, because I know you've done a lot of connecting and writing about divine unions and the energy of it. One of the things that we've noticed in our field of experience over the last 3 months or 4 months or so is that we've been told that we would be entering triads, and that individuals would be coming forth, whether it be in person or whether it be online or whatever, and we would be exchanging code, and we'd be sharing code and so on. What we've noticed over the last 3 or 4 months is that the third person or the third soul that's stepping in tends to be androgynous. Their energy is androgynous, and I just have to think that's got to be some type of marker for what's occurring on a collective level. Maybe, I don't know. Do you have any insight on that?
Yes. It's interesting because a lot of my soul readings now, especially with the younger generation, the younger, when I mean younger, I mean the ones that have been born from about 1994 onwards, or make it 2000 onwards, about 2000 onwards. They're actually androgynous. They're androgynous souls.
Wow. Makes sense.
The androgeny is the ultimate state of being. That is not to say that some galaxies haven't got a male form and a female form. Within the omnipresence, within the omnipotent creation, there are many forms of creation, you understand. Not everybody's got the same type of body like we have, you understand. But most of the master galaxies actually have an androgynous form. And Lemuria was androgynous.
It was.
So not that it hadn't existed on the planet, it has. And we're now getting to the stage where a lot of these souls are moving into the androgeny within themselves, you understand?
Yes.
Where they beautifully balance between the masculine and the feminine, because we all have masculine and feminine within us. And that's the ultimate state of being. Now, the minute that you act, I was told this time and time again, as we step into this higher dimensional state and we fully live it, the whole relationship type as we have thought it's structured will not exist anymore. You will literally be with your divine complement, but it will be on an immensely high energetic level.
Yeah.
In ways we cannot even think about now. So what it comes down to, and what I'm being told over and over again, is whatever you think in the structures, whatever you had like programmed into you, whatever you think is the norm, whatever you think should exist, will not exist anymore.
Yeah. Everything is removed. Everything's taken away.
Yeah.
Really is.
It is.
And if we think about our journeys over the last few years, that's what's been happening, with resistance, and, our unconsciousness. But I mean, like mine was very radical in the first couple of years, and I've watched other people do it different ways, but that's true. It really is true. And it pushes you to a place where, I remember 2 weeks ago, I got, a transmission in, and they said, there's a difference between surrendering and giving up. And I said, well, what is it? And they said, well, surrendering, you can't fake it, for one thing. And surrendering, the universe reciprocates with a frequency of abundance. And if you're giving up, you're actually giving away your power. Like giving up, like I give up, I can't go on anymore. Where surrender is, like what you talked about, like stepping into the abyss, into the void, into the holy darkness. And that's what it takes. But that's so magical, when you think about the level of vulnerability and surrender and the way the universe works in that equal energy exchange. That's an incredible thing to think about when you've let go that much, what it would propel from the other side, which is something beyond our human aspects comprehension. We have no idea what it's going to be.
Yes, it's where miracles happen.
Yeah.
Because if you've gone to that abyss, where you're literally scattered, suddenly it's almost like this force enters and the force takes over. And you're literally part of that force, and that force carries you.
Mm. Yeah.
That's what I found time and time again. If I let go of all my things and I let my ego totally step out of the way and say, well, listen now, okay, take over, that force carries you. And suddenly you think to myself, wow, why did I struggle so much?
Yeah.
You know, why did it take so long for me to finally get to the stage, you know, where that comes in? And interestingly, they said to me, but you know, you're getting into a much higher state of life where abundance will be part of that life.
Yeah.
There will be enough, more than enough, and it will never stop. You know, the supply will never stop.
It's almost like moving from your comfort zone to your uncomfort zone, which is really not,
right.
which is really not an uncomfort zone. I was going to ask you too, you know, because I always try to humanize, you know, or to bring it down to the audience to the level of what's that feel like? You know, I know what it sounds like, but what does that feel like? And I've watched. In fact, I received a message from a lady the other day. It was so incredible. I posted it, and she had a lot to say, and she talked about a lot of things in her own, you know, her own journey. And as she was getting to the end, she was talking about how her body. She sent me pictures and everything, videos. Her body's turning crystal. You know, under light, it's translucent. You can see through it and stuff. And she said, and with all that, the more that happens to me, you know, that's happened to me, I have never been more human. So there's something about the human aspect coming into alignment and comprehension. But what I was getting at, part of what I think people are struggling with at times, and you brought it up at the top of the show when you talked about things, you know, like being removed and being shattered, you know, and everything you thought you were is, you know, part of that is represented, you know, the attachment, the resistance to letting go comes with these human relations we've had one-on-one, because in the old paradigm, everything was codependent. And so it was really hard to let go of this stuff. And what I'm watching happen in my life and in other people's lives more so, because a lot of it happened to me prior, is they're having to let go of relationships, you know, of not knowing, are they going to come back? And I'm watching it happen, and I'm watching it flow as if there's a collective, unseen hand of providence pushing it, and it's going to happen anyway. But I can also see the discomfort and the pain and the resistance due to the attachment that people have. Can you speak to that a little bit? Is there any light you could shed on that subject for people to maybe approach it with a little bit more confidence?
But the thing is, you know, we tend to attach to people. You understand? We tend to attach, and the thing is, as soon as you attach, there are energetic cords between you and that person, the soul. Okay, they're like cords, you know, and it's those cords that push pull, you know, between us and the other. It's energetic, you know. We most of the time we're not even aware of it, but it's there. And you know, the Buddhists teach you that. They tell you that everything that you attach you runs you in the end, and not you.
Yeah.
So in other words, if it is, I've had to let go in the last 6 months, you know, and I've been through that, and yes. It is painful. You know, every change is not say it's not pleasant. It's not a joyride to say that. But once you actually start to understand that in this moment, every soul is responsible for its own movement into the higher dimensional state. Some souls are just not ready for that. It's not because they don't love you. It's not because but you know, most people have a great problem loving themselves anyway. Yeah. You know, and it all comes down that that this deep love needs to be unconditional within yourself. If you can't love yourself into the deepest parts of yourself, you cannot love another soul to that degree. But a lot of these soul contracts have now come to an end. You know, before we incarnate, we meet with the souls that we still have some karma to actually work through, some negative karma. We meet with the souls that we want to journey with. Some of them will be there for a day, some will be there for a week, some will be there for 3 months, some will be there for 5 years, some will be there for 50 years. You understand? But what is happening now is that a window of opportunity has opened up where the slate can be cleaned.
Yeah.
We are literally now given the opportunity that the karma is resolved for all time and all eternity.
That's so weird you say that, because nothing's weird. But I mean, and again, when we went to bed last night, we didn't say anything. I just remember at one point I just said, "What?" And she said, "What do you mean?" And I didn't answer back. I think I was actually speaking to her up there. But I remember laying there and I wanted to tell her. And I remember hearing, in regard to the two of us, all your karma has been cleared. Have you noticed? That's what I heard. And I thought to myself, things have been really chill the last, 10 days or so, like something, you know what I mean? But that's what I heard. I heard all the karma has been cleared. Have you noticed? And I was like, yeah, actually I have, like there's something to that, which again, these individual experiences or these couples, they're a small reflection of what's happening, collectively. Yeah.
Because now you've worked through that. You've done what the lessons have gone now. Again, you're stepping into a void. You're stepping into a new type of life, a new type of relationship. Okay. And the thing is, we cannot piggyback anybody into that. If you're at the edge of that abyss, you've got to jump.
That's right.
You can't go and piggyback somebody else in it. And it doesn't matter. And love is eternal. Love never ends. And when we leave this body, we go in our soul forms and we go back to our master galaxies. You understand? And that love is never ending. You will meet those souls time and in just different existences and different galaxies and different universes. This soul is not bound by this earthly existence. And love never ever dies. Love changes form, but it never ever dies. Once we start understanding that, we will also understand that sometimes we just outgrow a soul. You understand? We evolve, but that soul does not evolve. So somewhere along the line, we've got to let go here. We can't just cling to the soul and then our soul goes down. You understand?
Yeah.
This is a time where I've been told this time and time again that as you release all of this now, be open for something totally new to unfold, which is greater than anything you can ever imagine.
That's right. That's right. Far better than you could ever understand. And what I've noticed is this, what you're describing, it applies regardless of the duration. Exactly. So for many of us, as we've been evolving, we might have somebody pop into our lives and you have that resonance, that kindredness, and you're like, and everything just falls into line, and you think, oh my God, this is this or this is that. And we're going to be connected at the hip for the next, whatever. And then things shift, and 3 months or 6 months later, they're no longer in your field and you're no longer in theirs. And it's okay. But it's just weird. And I think what you said earlier about the whole time element is I guess the way I understand what you're saying, which to me, I think I got it, is that the time thing is no different than any other 3D program or loop plane, in that the only existence of time is through the holographic that we're creating from our beliefs, or from our our own movement forward. It's not actually playing anymore, like you were saying earlier about the whole thing. Yeah,
it's not playing anymore unless we want to play in it. It's like a movie, an old movie. You want to go and play in that old movie, you can, you know. You can play that movie over and over and over and over again, you know. But it's stuck. It's a movie. It's not reality anymore.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. And the love thing too. Like I don't know what's been going on. I felt this way maybe for the same, period. I mean, there's always obviously been threshold after threshold for all of us, and expansion and all that involves, but my heart has just been exploding. I look at Morgan and I'm just like, oh my God, like I can't even say anything because there's nothing I could say that would, bring it justice. And even about myself, I sit there and I say to myself, wow. And that's okay, Todd. You can feel that way. Like, wow, it's, you can't put words into it. I can't.
It leaves you speechless. Because to me, it always means that human language is so very, very, very limited, And I can understand that in ancient times, it always sort of communicated, and galactically, they communicate telepathically. Because sometimes you can read a soul in a different manner than you need. But words are limitations. They limit us in ways that a divinity cannot express itself through words.
Yeah. And the amazing thing that I think I'm trying to get my arms around too is that we are, okay, I'm going to try to explain it. We are goddesses, gods in the flesh. And these revelations and these transformations that are occurring have always occurred. It's a natural thing, like the seasons, the cyclical nature of the universal equation. But we're in a space where we're in this physical body, and these things are coming into play in a physical dense realm, or what was anyway. And that's extraordinary to me. When you said earlier, this has never happened on the earth, that's what I see as never have happened on the earth. Like, it just looks like that's where it's going. I mean, I'm in the bed at night and I'm noticing this like the last 3 or 4 nights. I asked Morgan about it one night, but if I'm laying in the bed, we have blackouts curtains, and you can't see in there. And I look up and there's a bluish white light, like somebody has a fluorescent light up above my head. So I put my head back and I tried to see where the source is, and it just keeps moving back. And I'm looking at it. And so I start to play in the field. I put my hands up and I notice, of course, they disappear. And then I also notice that I can project energy or light from my fingers, right? Like, and I'm just playing with it. I don't know what I'm doing, but I have a feeling that this stuff is part of what's occurring. I guess as the holographs break down, maybe. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
But the thing is, we're returning to the remembrance of how to use energy now.
Yeah.
As we evolve, that energy is starting to pour into us, that we can literally now move any way they want to.
Yeah.
And this is teaching you that you have that power to move energy in the way that you wish to. In ancient times, they would literally form like forms of energy, like balls of energy, and they would throw these energy balls, and they would immediately sort of manifest into physical form. Because they projected that into us. And all this is starting to come to the fore now as our souls evolve, so remember, the remembrance comes back about what you are capable of doing. And maybe if that energy is conscious, or in a different, because energy is conscious, maybe then just ask, what is it that you are trying, what message do you trying to relate to me?
Yeah. I've had some interesting moments the last 3 nights, and I did, like, when all those humanoids came in, and they just kept coming in. I was asking them, like, what are we doing? And there wasn't words though, but it was what I described earlier. I wanted to ask you too about, in March, we were among other couples, because I remember we ran into some other ones, that there was some type of level of union met, and we were shown that a golden child energy had been conceived, and that it would be birthed onto the planet, energetically. I'm sure with physical representations as well, although I don't think Morgan's going to pop one out. But that it would come out about the time of the winter solstice, but that it would be embodied in June, like June 21st, I guess the summer solstice. Does any of that ring a bell? This third energy, the golden child energy? Do you have any comments on that?
No, at the moment I can't believe, but to me it is already the golden age that is here. Mm-hmm. So this could be a projection of it, because a new race is coming in. Yeah. You understand? And the new race is not going to be in what we normally think it could be. You understand? It's you can already see with the son children that have been born since 2012. They're a completely different race of people, and that they telling me that the new race is here. It's here. It's coming. It's already there. Yeah. So maybe this is a preparation for, or you'll be like a forerunner of bringing that into creation.
Yeah, that was December 21st. Yeah, which would make sense, because the solstice, and I've never kept up with a lot of that stuff, but I have, beginning probably 2018. But I noticed in 2018 and 2019, the solstice was a really big deal. The winter solstice, it was almost like that was the beginning of the year or something. Like everything really started to change and accelerate from that point. It's getting exciting. It really is.
Yes, it is. It's a totally new world and a totally new way of co-creation, and we're going to experience things that everybody before had never experienced. Yeah. It's the world is now multi-dimensional. It's not even just as the 5th to 7th opening up. It's from the 9th to the 12th opening up. Yeah. And it depends on which frequency band you wish to now tune into.
And I wonder if
something that never happened.
Yeah, I wonder if that's what I was seeing this morning with that golden earth. And then there was, around it, there was not spheres, but there were kind of elongated round levels, It was almost like it was all the earth. You know what I mean? Like it was all the earth. Yeah. So that, like what you're saying, that would fit with that. Like, where do you want to play? Because you're still here. Yeah. Which, maybe that's too, as you were saying earlier, where some people aren't ready to go to this place or that place. And as we were talking about, coming together, and then you kind of go your separate ways. I mean, we're still all playing in the same field. It's just different regions, I guess, maybe, as opposed to dimensions. I don't know. It's a powerful morning though. I'm gonna have to go lay down. So you're on lockdown over there, and you're gonna be doing the work etherically. Are you gonna be doing them on specific dates, or are you gonna put that information out there, or are you just gonna do it quietly?
Sorry, I don't quite get you. You mean the work that I'm doing at the moment?
Yeah, like what you were going to do in Sedona and in Shasta.
Well, the thing is, I sort of completely cancelled the seminars there. Interestingly, I have so many people now contacting me from Mount Shasta and so on, saying, just like I get emails, etc. But yeah. I'm not going there anymore. Yeah. I can't get out of the country. I'm out of my country. I can't get out of my country. We're still in lockdown. And so I've just decided I'm just going to leave it until, the doors open again. I don't know when that will be and in what form it will be.
Well, you never know You never know how quick that could become. I knew that's what you were saying, but you had said earlier that you realized that you can also do whatever work you were going to do on the grid etherically. And I was just wondering, are you going to do that work on specific dates? And are you going to publicize that? Or are you just going to do it quietly?
No, just quietly.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll look for you.
Because it's work that is omniversal. It's not
Yeah.
just on Earth.
No, I'm with
And
you on that. Yeah, I get that.
it will probably there is but the seminars and so on. I will, maybe if I come to the USA, I know I will get there. But whenever that is, in whatever time and space, and even if it's in a new dimensional space. Because America is going to change, the Earth is going to change, the structures are going to change. We don't know, but this is a whole totally new way of life. But it's massive work that is being done, and it's what is so beautiful is that the old dormant energies that have been on the Earth since the very beginning of time are now being released again.
Yeah.
And that is the beauty of it. That is the seventh dimensional state that is being released through the energy grids that are already in the Earth, but they're just like dormant. I mean, they were like putting it, but they're being released now.
Yeah, and that's
as
interesting.
The Earth has already been reborn. Yeah,
I agree with that. And it's interesting too, in regard to the comments you were making earlier about choosing, what you seek, you will find. That's good or bad. But and then what we were talking about with the energies or the holograms that are not being supported anymore. In that, I've noticed in the lightworker community, because that's really the only place I hang around, that the issues, the things that we were talking about, the things that are bubbling to the surface, it's like they're being put out there and put out there and put out there and put out there. And I'm not saying they're falling on deaf ears, but it seems like the impact of them is dropping. Like there's fewer people listening, almost like a false flag frequency. Exactly. How those were really effective, and then they just kind of went away, and now they're not even around. Where these things, where I know people are coming from the heart, and from their wounds, and saying, "Hey, watch out for this," and they're doing that, and they're doing this. But it's almost like it seems to me that it's just fewer and fewer and fewer people are tapping into that and attaching to that. So that makes a lot of sense. I guess it's happening one way or the other, and we can pick the level of comfort or discomfort we want. I'm going into the holy darkness. I don't care how uncomfortable it is.
I'm choosing the highest path, and I'm not the lower path anymore.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. So well, keep us posted. We just found out today we're there the second half of the month, and I don't put anything out of the realm of possibility in terms of the human timeline or the old timeline or whatever you want to call that. I mean, we could snap our fingers and tomorrow you could be in Sedona. I mean, we don't know how this is going to work. I mean, we could wake up tomorrow and everybody on the planet could teleport. I mean, there's just, I've got a friend of mine now that's getting, she's getting a geomantic dome appearing in her house, and the galactics are coming in and having meetings with her. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff happening. So, but I really appreciate you coming in, and it's always such an honor to sit down with you and share space. And really from everybody, thank you for all the work you've been doing all these years, and for your patience and tenacity. And I'm really, really liking, I'm really enjoying where your posts have gone these last 2-3 months. It's, there's some fire there that's impressive. And so, I just wanted to give that to you.
Thank you. As I say, we're all being reinvented and resurfacing in different forms. So I must admit, I'm busy being revamped and reinvented and whatever else.
Well, you look fantastic. You look fantastic. couple of people made comments about how young you look. You do. You look absolutely fantastic, like you've been swimming in the fountain of youth or something. All right. Well, until the next
Thank you.
time, and thank you so much. And please let me know if you're coming this way, if anything changes, because I want to come see you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all the work you are doing, Todd. You're doing amazing work. Thank you so much. And bless you. Thank you. And thank you, everybody.
You take care.